Welcome back. All right. If you have made it to this video, that means you have made that decision to actually take this course. And I really congratulate you for taking this course. Okay. So in this chapter, okay, we'll be looking at introduction to JavaScript. And this is the first session in this chapter. And we are looking at what is really JavaScript. What is JavaScript? Okay, because a lot of us might not really understand what JavaScript is. So let's take a look at what JavaScript is. So introduction to JavaScript, okay, we'll be looking at definition of JavaScript, and there are a few things we need to note when we are talking about JavaScript, okay? We need to understand that JavaScript is a versatile programming language, all right? Don't worry, in this session, while in this session, I'm also going to explain more on what a programming language is, okay? So JavaScript is a versatile programming language used for web development, mobile developments, and more. All right. It is versatile because it's everywhere. It is easy to use. It is arguably the most popular programming language. Okay, you can use it to build web applications. You can use it to build mobile applications, desktop applications, almost anything. Okay, although it also has its own disadvantages, but JavaScript is actually growing stronger and it is really amazing. Okay, JavaScript is also a dynamic and interpreted programming language. I'm going to explain more on what we mean by dynamic and interpreted. Okay, it is a dynamic and interpreted language allowing for interactive web experiences. Okay, it's also a client-side scripting and programming language. All right. You know what we mean by client-side is this. Okay, when you for every application you have, whatever you are seeing as the user is the client side. You are the client. Okay, so on your browser, maybe on your mobile applications, whatever the user interface is what we refer as the client side. Okay, so JavaScript basically is used to build the user interface, the user interactivity of the any application is using, whether web application, mobile, or desktop application. Okay, so let's take a look at the history and the evolution of JavaScript. Okay, it was developed in 1995. This was when the internet started growing, the World Wide Web started growing. Okay, JavaScript was created by Brendan H. Okay, at Netscape. Now, this man developed this language in order to add interactivity to web pages. I just told you that around 1990, 1991, that was when the web, the internet started, and then the web pages, something like websites, they were not really interactive. They were very, very static. Right? It was more of like a newspaper, all right, where you just read, you don't do anything with it. But over time, there was need for interactivity. The users need to interact with the web application. So this man, Brendan, created JavaScript in order to add interactivity to web applications, to web pages. But now JavaScript has really grown bigger than that. Okay, right now you can use JavaScript to do both mobile applications, desktop applications, okay? So JavaScript, when it started, it wasn't standardized, okay? It wasn't, there wasn't a standard. So ECMAScript, JavaScript was later standardized as ECMAScript. Okay, sorry for my wrong pronunciation. Okay, so it was standardized as ECMAScript by the European Computer Manufacturers Association. Okay, so now this, instead of JavaScript, it was now called ECMAScript. Okay, all right. So although JavaScript is still used as the popular name, but now the standard one, if you want to write a standard JavaScript that everybody can understand and everybody can really use, okay, you will need to use the ECMAScript standard to write a JavaScript, okay? But unfortunately, in this course, we will not be talking about ECMAScript. We'll be just talking about JavaScript, okay? It is in the advanced course that we start talking about ECMAScript, okay? So JavaScript gained widespread adoption, okay? JavaScript became the most widely used programming language for web applications. Okay, basically, if you want to build web application, especially the user interface, the front end, okay, the client side, it is JavaScript, all right? Now you can still build back end with JavaScript too. So JavaScript, when it comes to anything that has to do with web application, JavaScript is the most widely used programming language. All right. So what are the importance of JavaScript? Now, fundamental web language. JavaScript is the fundamental web language. Without JavaScript, you cannot build an interactive web applications. So if you are interested in building web applications, websites that are very, very, very interactive, okay, something like Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, okay, if you want to build applications that run on the browser, you need to learn JavaScript. You need to not just learn JavaScript, you need to master JavaScript, okay? So JavaScript powers modern web applications. It is very, very crucial for building responsive and feature-rich websites. If you want to build amazing web application, I just mentioned Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, all right? If you want to build such applications, you need to learn JavaScript, all right? JavaScript is also a versatile, it has versatile programming capabilities. You can use it for both the client side and also for the server side development. Okay, JavaScript is just amazing. It is very, very versatile. You can use it for client side, server side. You can use it for mobile development. You can use it for desktop development also. Okay, so I mentioned JavaScript is dynamic and also interpreted programming language. But what does it really mean? Okay, so when we talk about being dynamic, all right, most programming languages like C Sharp, Java, they are very, very strict. Okay. And maybe when we talk about data types, I'm going to explain this dynamic keyword that we are using here. All right. Because if I talk about dynamic and I don't talk about data types, you will not really understand it. So when we get to data types of JavaScript, then I will explain better. But I'm going to explain what we mean by JavaScript is interpreted programming language. All right. But first of all, we need to understand what a programming language is. Okay. So what is a programming language? Now, a programming language is a formal system of communication that allows humans to write instructions that a computer can understand and execute. Okay, so a programming language is the language that the computer understands. You have English language, you have French, you have Chinese, you have German. These are a German would not a German would not understand English language if he doesn't study English language. So if I speak German to to somebody who speaks English language, they will not understand it. So if you want to really communicate, all right, with the computer, you have to speak the language of the computer. And the language of the computer is what we call programming language. There are different types of programming language. We are going to talk about that, okay? So a programming language is a formal way, a formal system of communication. Now, as a programmer, that is who you are. Well, as long as you're taking this course, that means you want to become a programmer, you want to become a software developer. So, as a software developer, you're developing software. And basically, a software is just a set of instructions telling the computer to do something for you. All right. A software like Facebook is Facebook developers, they have written some instructions that the computer would have to execute whenever you click on a button, whenever you hover your mouse over something, okay? So whenever you do anything that you do on Facebook, whenever you type in a comment and send, okay? The developers of Facebook have written instructions that the computer would execute whenever you click on a button or whenever you do anything on Facebook. So if you want to communicate with the computer, you need to know how to speak the language of the computer. And that is why we are teaching you JavaScript programming language so that you can use it to communicate with the computer, to tell the computer to do something for you. Okay? I believe that you understand that. So A programming language consists of a set of rules. We call this set of rules, we call it syntax. I'm going to explain more on that. It also has semantics for structuring and manipulating data and actions that control the behavior of machines, especially computers. Okay, so when you're writing that language, that communicate, when you now imagine when you're writing English language, you will need to have full stop, comma, semicolon, colon. Okay, all these things have meanings. So that is what we mean by semantics. Okay, whatever you're writing now, set of rules. They say that when you're writing English language, you need to use when you use full stop, it means that you have ended your statement. So now these are set of rules. English language have set of rules, and every set of rule, okay, every rule or every syntax that you're using has a meaning. Okay, so whatever you're writing, you must follow the rules, and that is when we are going to teach you the rules, the syntax of JavaScript programming language, and we're also going to teach you what they mean. That is what we mean by semantics. Okay, whatever you're writing, what is the meaning when you put in a semicolon in your JavaScript language? What does it mean? What does computer say it as? Okay, so what is the meaning? When you have these rules, okay, you also need to understand the meaning. So that is what you're also going to learn. So every programming language have set of rules that you must follow, and every of these set of rules, they have their meanings. Okay, all right. Now, what are the examples of programming languages? The first one we'll look at is Python, okay? Python is known for its simplicity and readability. It is popular for web development, basically back-end, okay? It's also popular for data science, people who want to do data analysis, data science and automation, AI, and you understand, they will have to learn Python. Every programming language has the reason why it was created. It has the reason. Okay, there is a reason why it was created. And what you can use this programming language to do, you might not use another programming language to do it as much as you could actually do it with the other particular programming language. Okay, so JavaScript is primarily used for web development to make website interactive. Now, you cannot use Python to make website interactive. You can only use JavaScript. And somehow you cannot use JavaScript for automation or data science, although there is improvement in JavaScript now, okay? So, but every programming language has their specific use and why they were created. C is a programming language, it's the name of a programming language. It's a general purpose language used for creating system applications. It's for system programming. Whenever you have your laptop, okay, something like your operating system, your Windows operating system, okay, is a system application. Whenever you buy a phone, your phone comes with Android is a system application, okay, that's operating system, and it also has other applications that come with them. So these applications that run behind that you might not even see are called system applications. And if you want to write a very good and efficient system application, you need to use a language called C or C++, okay? Now, Java is also known for its portability. Now, this is another programming language. It is used in large-scale enterprise applications. We also have language like C Sharp, okay? Now, they all have their various uses, okay? Ruby is another language focused on simplicity and productivity, often used for web development. And these are basically back end. So when you want to do front end interactivity with the users, you use JavaScript, okay? All right. Now, for if at all you have any question, okay, under this video that you're watching, you would see an option where you can actually put in your question, okay, and every question would be answered by your instructor, okay. Once we get your question, we are going to answer your question. You are going to see the answer, and if at all any question you want to ask has been asked by another person, you're also going to see it and you see the answers, okay? All right. So what are the uses of programming languages? Now, you use the programming language for application development, okay, for developing software. So if you want to be a software developer, you need to learn a particular programming language, okay? Now, for web development, use programming languages to develop website and web applications, okay? Basically, there is difference between website and web application, but that would be a topic for another day, all right? Now, you can also use programming languages, something like Python for data science and machine learning. You use it to analyze data and building intelligent system, something like AI, okay? You use programming language to build system applications, developing operating systems and embedded systems. These are system applications, okay? You also use it for automation and scripting, okay? Now, being a programmer, there are a lot of opportunities, job opportunities out there. All you have to do is to study and learn and become a master in a programming language, in a particular programming language, master a particular programming language, and you would never seek for job. Job will be calling you, okay? So you need to master. If you're learning JavaScript, you master it. If you're learning Python, you master it, okay? And we also have this particular course now is just JavaScript for beginners, but we have JavaScript for mastery, okay? We have another course where you master JavaScript. All right, so every programming language has key aspects. Cool. So let's take a look at key aspects of a programming language. Every programming language must have syntax. I have already mentioned it. Syntax are set of rules. So every programming language must have set of rules. Syntax for JavaScript is not the same syntax for Python. It's not the same syntax for Java. Do you understand? So just like now, German has different set of rules from English. English has different set of rules from French. Okay, so if you want to write French, there is a particular way you have to write it. So syntax, these are rules that define the structure of a valid instruction in the language. The computer says, if you want to talk to me in this particular programming language, you have to follow these rules. So you have to structure your instruction in a way that the computer would understand it. So how code should be written? When you're writing your code, how valid is your code? These are determined by the syntax. So you must learn the syntax of any programming language. So in this course, we are going to be learning syntax of JavaScript, okay? So every language has a specific way of writing instructions. Every programming language have keywords, they have operators, they have punctuation, they have structure. You would have to learn this. Okay, if you don't learn them, you cannot write any sentence, any valid instruction, or any valid statement in that programming language. Okay, so example, in Python, this is how you write it. If you want to write this is called conditional. There is we are going to study conditionals, okay? There is a conditional saying if S is greater than 10, do this. That means if S is not greater than 10, don't do this. So this is another way of writing it in JavaScript. You can see that they have different syntax. The way they are written, you can see that for the Python does not have bracket. The S greater than 10 is not inside a bracket, but in JavaScript, it is inside a bracket. And there is no colon after the 10 in JavaScript, but there is a colon after the 10 in Python. Okay, so now for JavaScript, there are many ways you can also write this particular statement here. All right, you can put the curly braces, okay, but although we are going to talk about it, okay, it's just for some people who might get confused. All right, if S is greater than 10, console.log, I don't need to, because this console.log is just a statement, okay, I don't need to put it in curly braces, okay, all right, so every programming language must have semantics. It must have syntax, it must have semantics. So you need to understand, you need to study the semantics of that programming language. Now, for every code or instruction or statement that you write in a programming language, what is the meaning? Okay, we have to understand the meaning, all right? Because if you don't, okay, you might write something and you'll be expecting something else to happen and it will not happen. Okay, so syntax is how the code looks. How do you structure the code? How the code looks. But semantics defines what the code would do. Now, if you write something and you didn't write it correctly based on the semantics of that programming language, you might not get the expected result. So you have to study syntax, you have to study semantics, okay? All right. So now this is a syntax of in Python, but what is the meaning? The meaning here, that's the semantics, okay? The meaning is saying if the value of s is greater than 10, do print s. Okay, if it is not greater than 10, don't print it. That is the meaning. So if you understand the meaning, you will get the expected result. The same thing with JavaScript. This is a syntax. Okay, this is the syntax, but the meaning here is that we are checking for the value of 10 of x. If it is greater than 10, we do something. If it is not greater than 10, don't console it. Okay. All right. So every programming language also provides something we call abstraction. Now the thing is that you cannot every programming language provides different levels of abstraction to simplify complex computing tasks. Now, if I go back to this, okay, if s is greater than 10, print s. If you are to write this thing in the core computer language, it will be so difficult for you. So what is a programming language doing? Python in this case is actually abstracting so many things that you don't need to know. You've just written s equal to 10, but behind the scene, okay, behind the scene, the underlying hardware, there are more to that. You have just written if s is greater than 10, do this. But behind the scene, there are a lot. So the programming language takes all these things from you so that you don't have to bother yourself too much. The people who started programming, they wrote code in machine language, zeros and ones. It was very, very difficult. But right now, this programming language is abstracting these things that you don't need to know them, but you just need to know very small and you can write good code. Okay. So every programming language, all right, we have the high-level languages like a Python, JavaScript. They abstract away most of the hardware details, just like I have already explained. If x is greater than 10, print s. There are more to that. Okay, when you go down the hardware details, there are more. So with a high level language like Python or JavaScript, they take this burden away from us. All right. While low level languages like assembly language, they provide final control over the computer hardware. So if you're writing in low level languages like assembly language or machine language, okay, it is very, very difficult. You will have to write everything, although you will be in control, but there is no need, okay? With high-level language, you just have to write minimum code and it will do a lot for you, okay? So we also have to take a look at execution. Every programming language will have syntax, it will have semantics, it will have abstraction, it will also have execution. Execution is it means when you give the computer that instruction, when you write that statement, if s is greater than 10, do this for me. How is it executed? All right. Every programming language have different ways of execution. Okay. Once code is written in a programming language, it is typically either compiled or interpreted to run on a machine. So what this thing means is that we have two types of language execution. We have compiled and we have interpreted. Okay. So I'm going to explain what these two keywords mean. So compiled languages like the C and C++, C Sharp, Java, okay, they are converted into machine code by a compiler before execution. Execution means when the application is running, okay? Now, right now I am using PowerPoint to present this video. So PowerPoint is a software that has been written. So we don't need to know the language it was written in, but the thing is that PowerPoint is running now on my computer. Okay, so it is executing. But the thing is that this PowerPoint might be compiled or it might be interpreted. Okay, so if it is compiled, it means that this PowerPoint, the language C or C++, it has been converted because definitely when you write your code in high level language, your computer does not understand high level language. Your computer does not understand JavaScript. Your computer understands machine code, zeros and ones. So if you write in JavaScript or you write in Python, you will need to convert it. Just like now, I do not understand French. So if you want to speak French, if you write any article in French or you're talking to me in French, I will need somebody that would interpret it for me. Do you understand? I will need somebody that will translate it. I think translation is a better word. Okay. Okay. I will need somebody to translate it for me. So if you write your language, if you write a code or an instruction or any statement in Java or JavaScript or Python, you need to there will be a translator, something that will translate it into machine code. That is when the computer can understand what you have told it to do and they will do it. So if it is not in machine code, it will not understand it. And what do you use to translate? Okay, you use a translator. We have two types of translators. A translator can be a compiler or an interpreter. Okay, so when we say that a language is compiled, it means that the language is directly converted to the machine code. All right, as you grow in your programming language journey, you're going to understand better. Okay, you compile, you translate it to machine code, zeros and ones. All right. So before execution, it will be translated, it will be compiled, it will be translated to machine code before execution. Before execution. But for interpreted languages, okay, they are translated during execution. Now look at the difference. The difference is that for compiled languages, they are translated to machine code before execution. I have told you that execution is when the software is running, just like my PowerPoint is running right now. Okay, my Zoom app is running right now. So it is in execution. So it is either that the software has been compiled, all right, before the execution, or it is interpreted while it is executing, while it is running. Okay, so languages like Python, JavaScript, they run directly by an interpreter. That means when they are running, when they are executing, when the software is running, the codes are being interpreted, they are being translated to machine code. Now, the difference, the disadvantage here is that compiled languages are faster. Okay, because they have been translated already. Okay, and they are translated. So during execution, there is no delay. But interpreted languages, because they are being translated during execution, they will translate, then execute, translate, execute, translate, execute. But for compiled languages, there is no need for translation during execution. It has been translated already, so it will just be running. Okay, if you don't understand this, drop a comment so that I can explain more on this, okay? Now let's take a look at categories of programming languages. We have low-level languages, okay? I told you that computer understand machine code. The language of the computer is called machine code. It is written in zeros and ones. The people who started programming, they were writing zeros and ones, and that's what the computer understand. Okay, so from machine code, machine language, we now got assembly language. Assembly language was also somehow closer to zeros and ones, but it was more readable. All right, it was more readable than the machine code. All right, so these are low-level languages. They are very hard to write. If you write code in assembly language, it is very, very difficult. All right. So these are low-level languages, assembly language and machine language. Okay. So we also have high-level languages, languages like Python, Java, JavaScript. They are easier to learn and use and write because they abstract much of the hardware complexity. So you just have to focus on solving your problem in a more human readable terms. So when you're writing your code, you write it in English. So it is more human readable. Okay. So that is it. All right. So thank you very much for taking this section. I hope you understand. But if you have any question, if you have anything that you don't really understand, please drop it in the comment section, or you can also ask your question. Okay. And once you do that, if it requires me doing another video to explain more on that thing you don't understand, it will be available as an attachment to this session. Okay, so every session would have attachments. It can be PDF, it can be video, it can be image, whatever it is. Okay, so drop your comment, like or dislike. Let us know what you don't like about this session. If you like, let us know what you like. Okay, drop your comments. We need your feedback so in order for us to serve you better. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next session. Make sure you write your test, and if you don't pass it, go back to this video, watch it over and over again, pause, rewatch, so that you can really understand it. Our goal is to make you a global genius. A genius is someone who really know what they are doing. Okay, so you need to really know what you're doing, and that is why we are here to help you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session.